We're here to talk about something that is honestly, it's a little bit entertaining on social media. If you've seen the trending videos, Gen Z has coined this term quiet quitting, and it's been around for a long time. It's disengagement. It's people doing the bare minimum. And there's one video that you found that I think really sums up the problem in an entertaining way.
Yeah. It's everywhere. Everybody is talking about quiet quitting. There's all of these quiet things, quiet firing, quiet hiring all over the place.
So quiet.
Oh, everything is so quiet now. But we found this video, and I feel like it really sums up really kind of this trend and kind of the things that we see that is kind of detrimental about this trend moving forward. So let's take a look.
I just got off work and I saw a video of an older gentleman talking about quiet quitting. Most of the videos and most of the takes that I've seen are very polarizing. It's one, just the older generation saying that the youth is lazy and whatever, and the younger generation saying that like you don't see the hard work that we're putting in. I think there's validity in both. And I think what older generations are having a really hard time conceptualizing is that we're f***ed. I work a minimum wage tips job position, and if I were to ask any of my coworkers that are around my age when they're gonna buy their first home, they're going to laugh at me. They're gonna laugh because they don't know if they're gonna be able to pay rent next month. The reality is many of us that are in my age or a little older, a little younger, are working jobs that do not care about us as people. And I'm gonna say that again because I think that's a very, very important distinction that a lot of people are forgetting. I am not going to put in a 60-hour work week and pull myself up by my bootstraps for a job that does not care about me as a person. Oh, you're being sensitive. Oh, you just want your feelings. No, I'm saying the bare minimum is that if I'm sick or if I have a family emergency, that job's not going to be like, oh, it's your responsibility to find someone to replace you. The idea and the notion that we're just able to buy a home in this climate just by putting in some extra hours is outrageous and honestly just so ignorant. 50 years ago, yeah, you could work at McDonald's and put a down payment on a house in your mid-20s. In today's date, that is not possible. Now, let me rephrase that. It is possible. If I work an 80-hour work week, don't go out ever, don't do anything I enjoy, don't take a day off for mental health, for physical health, for whatever, eat ramen noodles for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a couple years, and then maybe I could get approved for a loan, pay off this loan on top of the crippling student loans many of us are in, and then after a couple years of literally killing myself, I can own a home. And you can't just say, oh, people are lazy for not wanting to do that. I'm not even taking into consideration, I don't know if we're going to have a sustainable world in 50 years. I'm asking a genuine...
Okay, we can kind of stop there. He starts going into a very fatalistic, he's not sure where the entire world is going to be.
Kids can't breathe air because climate change, and it gets off the rails very quickly at the end there.
Exactly. And this really highlights a lot of things that we're seeing with this quiet quitting trend. I mean, it kind of goes back to the pandemic. So people came out of the pandemic, right? And they were like, I'm tired of putting up with bad work cultures and bad bosses. So those people that were in those situations, a number of them left. Right? They went and found new jobs, and that contributed to the Great Resignation. But there was a group that decided to stay. Now, the reason they decided to stay, maybe they couldn't find a job, maybe they just never even looked, but they decided to stay, and instead of trying to make things better, they just disengaged. And that is a very, very bad thing for the work economy and the economy overall. I mean, when I've got kids that are in elementary school, and one of the first things we teach people is growth versus fixed mindset. A growth mindset is, hey, if I don't like the way things are, I'm going to try and make them better. Things can get better. If I keep pushing, if I work hard, things will get better. The fixed mindset is it's always going to be this way. Nothing is going to change. And because of that, I'm just going to do the bare minimum to get by. And that's what's really making me nervous about this trend, is that it's creating this mindset out there that why even try?
Well, and it points back to the solution doesn't start or end with me. It's everyone else's thing they have to fix. And then when they're ready, I'll come back because I'm a hard worker. And there's a lot of validity to what he's saying to how we got here. And that part does anger me, that we told our kids to just work hard in school and go to the college of their dreams regardless of the cost. And now they're saddled with student loan debt. Wages haven't increased as fast as home prices. And they feel entitled to, I need to be a homeowner at 22 and have the nice car and have a family and get married because of outside pressures and social pressures and family pressures. And they can't because they're living paycheck to paycheck. But they also, on the other hand, feel stuck in minimum wage jobs, which confuses me because that's not the only ones available. And so they're painting themselves into a corner saying, I don't have options, Kacy. This is it.
Yeah. I mean, the phrase, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I mean, if you think this is the only way that life is going to be, you're never going to look and try and make it better. Like in some of the stuff, there's a little bit of entitlement that is creeping into this quiet quitting that is very, very bad as well, where he's talking about, I'm never going to be able to live in the house that I want to live in. Well, there's something about expectations. Like we have these expectations because of social media. You see these amazing houses and all of this stuff out there that at 22, working a job that pays what a 22-year-old experience should pay, you're not going to be able to live in these $1 million houses with all these HGTV accoutrements in there, right? You have to set your expectations correctly, but it's never going to change. It's you need to figure out what that looks like today versus in the future.
Well, and that attitude causes you to go, well, it's never going to happen. So let me just, live La Vida Loca, YOLO. I'm never going to have that house. So I'm just going to go out to eat every day and, use whatever I can to kind of mute the anxiety and depression and anger I'm feeling. And I'm going to do that with spending, usually. And then they stay in the cycle, and they stay in the cycle. And the other side of this is obviously leadership. Mm-hmm. So the other validity to his point was there is a toxic work culture out there. There's a lot of bad companies, bad leaders, poor management styles that have led to the frustration of them feeling like they don't care about me. I'm just a number to them. None of this matters.
Yep. And at the end of the day, quiet quitting is absolutely the responsibility of the leader, right? Maybe an employee comes in and they don't have motivation. It is your responsibility to do one of two things. The first thing is to give them that motivation, help them see, and we've got some things that we can talk about of how to inspire them. But if you can't do that and that doesn't work, you need to fire them, right? They've already quiet quit. Just help them loud quit. I don't know what the opposite is, but you're going to have to help people walk out the door if they're going to sit in this sort of passive-aggressive, never going to change space.
And it's not out of a place of, well, I just don't like this person. It's this person deserves a better life than to show up to work every day, spreading hate and dissension everywhere they go. They need to go find something they actually enjoy doing that pays them what they think they're worth.
Yes. And if those people stay in your organization, it will be a cancer. It will spread because people will see, hey, this guy is making the same as me and he's doing half as much. He doesn't even show up on time. Like that is a negative toxic effect on your overall culture. So you need to help get them into a good place or get them into another place.
So this all comes down to the leader maintaining accountability, staying connected and engaged with their team. And Gallup's 2022 Employment Engagement Survey found that 68% of employees are disengaged, which is the majority.
Right.
And that's a real sad fact. And so this does come down to accountability. How can leaders step into that?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, you need to be a leader that people don't want to leave, right? If you listen to some of these things, talking about quiet quitting, expecting people to work on weekends, working 80 plus hours a week, not caring about their personal lives, like you have a responsibility as a leader to actually care about the person that you are leading, right? And there are ways that you can help them understand what winning looks like. So one of the first things that we do always is role clarity. And we talk about it a lot on this podcast. You've heard these three letters a lot, KRA. Key results areas. You need to be clear. It is a document that you sit down and create with your team member to say, to win at work, these are the expectations, so that they have a very clear understanding of what they need to do, right? That doesn't mean that sometimes that things don't come that sit on top of that KRA for a season, but most of the time, that's what their job should be. And you should be seeing them do that with excellence. They have to hold themselves to a standard. You have to set the standard, but it's up to them to hold themselves to that standard. And by doing things to check in on a regular basis, you at least have that document to say, this is the expectation. This is how you win here.
Yeah. And a lot of that, should happen in that 40 hours. And so in the video that we watched, he's going, well, I shouldn't have to put in 60 hours a week and pull myself about. Yeah, there is a toxicity there if you're consistently working 60 to 80 hours a week and you agreed on 40.
Right.
And so that you need to be working with the leader. The leader needs to be checking in, going, hey, there's been too much on his plate for too long. We might need to delegate this or make another hire. And so again, it points back to the leader on some level, but it also, the team member has a responsibility to also stay engaged and check in with their leader and be honest with them.
Exactly. And there's going to be seasons where you're going to have to work more, right? There's projects or deadlines or launches. I mean, we have that here at EntreLeadership, where we just had a big event, and so we had to work some more hours to get that off the ground and get that out. But when you do that, one, that shouldn't be the norm, right? But two, when it happens, kind of acknowledge that happened. You as the leader should be letting the team member know, hey, I really appreciate that you went over and above. And there's a lot of ways to do that. One way, you could throw a party, like, hey, let's celebrate during work hours, right? So they get the chance to celebrate. They're not going to have to spend extra time after work. You can do that as well, but like celebrate during work hours. You can give, we call them $100 handshakes. They're just kind of, hey, you're doing a great job. Here's an extra $100, $200. Thank you for all your hard work that you put in on XYZ. The simplest thing, just write a handwritten note. That sounds very like ridiculous, like, oh, that's going to make up for working all these extra hours. But those mean a lot, because it helps the team member feel seen, and that this is over and above, not the expectation every week.
Well, and our culture is just starved for words of affirmation. They just don't get it. They probably don't get it at home. They're definitely not getting it at work. And so, yes, you can do the $100 handshake, and maybe it comes with the handwritten note,
right,
letting them know how much you value them, because a lot of the anger is coming from the fact that they don't care about us as people.
Right.
And, we work at a place where the opposite is true, that there is deep care for everyone here. And, we have a lot of lenience for, hey, there's a family emergency or they're sick. We're not going to force people to come to work and make them find someone else to do it. And so if you work at a place like that, it's time to leave.
Yeah.
But I know our Entre leaders listening out there. There are some amazing companies and amazing leaders out there. So don't act like there's zero companies that will care about me. There's zero great leaders out there, because I meet these people at our events. I talk to them on social media. There's some incredible Entre leaders who are really trying to get this right.
Yes, and that's the type of mindset that you have to have. Like, if you are experiencing this toxic environment, there's somewhere else that is better. Just leave. Don't dial it in and just disengage. Don't do the minimum. That's going to affect you negatively down the road, as well as our overall economy. At the end of the day, it's the leader's responsibility to keep a pulse on their team. And we talked about that as well. Like, you should be having regular check-ins with your team, regular one-on-ones. And it's not just saying, hey, how's that project going? It's checking in and figuring out what's going on in their business. We do a thing, it's in EntreLeadership Elite, it's weekly reports, where every week our team members are submitting to us what their stress is, what their workload is, and what their morale is. Those three things lead to job satisfaction. And if you see those going in the wrong direction, you need to talk about that, have some conversations. You need to care about these people as a person, not just a cog in a machine to pump out more widgets, right? So there's a different expectation for a leader. And quiet quitting, if that's happening on your watch, it's your fault, and you are the one who needs to fix it.